Welcome back. Hey, it's something there. You don't have to see my legs. Lacy McDonald, because otherwise the lower third you'd see my legs. You know what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
I guess you could. Less is more for me. Anyway, Lacy McDonald, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
So, you wrote about driving 100 years ago.
I did, yes.
Number one, how was your week?
My week's
Never asked you.
Great.
We just dive right in.
Oh, well, that's all right. That's all right. We chat about it. No, it's been fine. Start of school. It doesn't change for me.
How's the kiddos doing with the start of school?
Oh, great. They're very nonchalant about the whole thing. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
now,
weirdly.
Do you do like the crying thing before they go back? Do you do the tear up?
No, my kids are very like, I'm a lot more like touchy feely than they are. They're both way more just like, they'll be like, I love you, but it's like very, and so
I love it. That's cool.
They, when they get dropped off at school, and my husband usually drops them off, but when they get dropped off at school, they've told him not to say anything when he opens the door. So he like has to just silently like, they open the door and he's not supposed to say anything and then they leave. And they're 6 and 9. It's not like they're teenagers. And so one day I was with them and one of the kids, I think my son opened the door to get out and I said, bye. I didn't even say I love you. I just said, bye. And he just turned around and glared at me and just silently shut the door.
Oh my God.
So yeah, no tears in my house.
I love it. That's great. You know what's funny though? Those teachers were like, man, those parents don't really talk to them.
I know, like I feel like a bad parent. Like people are probably like, wow, no love in that household.
You're doing great if your kids are that independent already. That's what I think.
That's
seriously.
what they love us, but they're also like,
That's
I'm my
awesome.
own person, and I want you to respect, the way that you interact
Seriously,
with me.
good for you guys.
Do that.
You won. I mean, that's it. Game over, man.
I mean, there are other things, but
well.
they're very independent.
Just like, being independent in 1924 meant that you drove your own car.
Yeah. This is an interesting statistic, but one that I don't have anything to compare it to. So in 1924, there were 3,600 automobiles in the district and approximately 36,000 residents. So one automobile or truck for every 10 people.
What district?
I don't know what that means.
I just was being honest. Okay.
Alton.
Okay.
I think it's just Alton, but they would say things like in the district, and so I'd be like, well, I don't want to say
you're
in
right.
Alton if it encompasses more than this. This is one of those issues, like in the city directories. Like first, the city directories. City directories are like phone books, but they have a lot more information than that. They'll talk about like who lives at a house and what their jobs are and how many children that they have and that kind of thing. So we have those from the 1800s to the present. Not as much information now, more like just who lives there. But in the 1920s, for sure, it would have, so-and-so works at the glass factory, 1 son, 2 daughters, like that kind of thing. So the city directories were just Alton at first. And then it goes out to Godfrey. And then, gets further out the longer that you go, or like certain streets weren't included and they were. So I don't know what the boundaries of Alton were in 1924
that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because sometimes we'll look in city directories and a street will appear, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist before. It just means it wasn't included in the official boundaries of Alton because they were always doing like border.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to say, 36,000 residents is about right for Alton proper in 1924. So I'm going to say that in Alton, around 36,000 residents and around 3,600 automobiles. And I don't know what that would be like. That's one for every 10 people then. I don't know what it would be for now, but I assume it would be much higher than that.
I would assume 1 in 4, wouldn't you?
And that's,
I mean, seriously, something that outrageous
Yeah.
would be, for me, what I would go with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was trying to think about it on my way over because a lot of the families I know have 2 cars.
That's
4 or 5
that's
people,
different.
maybe.
Yeah.
So
That's an interesting stat, though.
Yeah.
Now, what defines a car? Because we've seen a lot of hunks driving around these roads. Like that. That's what I want to know.
That's a
See,
good question.
what do you guys think? You know, we always
What's a
never ask
car?
it. You know,
Let's get philosophical here.
well, it depends if you listen to that commercial. If it's got wheels and it's got a steering wheel, then they'll give you $500 for it. You know.
Well, yeah.
So what were the cars like back then? Because
Oh,
like, is this
right.
right when the Model T is hitting the product line? Or?
Actually, so the second picture on there is I think the 10 millionth Model T, the 10 millionth Ford with the first.
It's incredible.
And
They made that many of those things.
yeah, and the first one looks very much like just a little like four-wheel buggy,
Yeah.
no top, anything. And then by 1924, because that is a photo from 1924, they had tops, they had some window, windshields kind of thing, still open. So
Yeah.
you could hear what other people were doing. I mean, you weren't enclosed.
You could
the way
hear
are in a
the
car.
road rage.
You could hear the road rage. You'd yell at the people coming towards you. But I mean, they were dangerous. Like people were getting hurt or killed sometimes. That's part of why they were doing this. 100 years ago, they were having a safety meeting. The Alton Automobile Club was having a safety meeting at Riverview Park. So that's what I was focused on for this article. But it was just kind of like a means for me to talk about driving, because in everything I've been looking at, there will, like we've talked about, picnic fundraisers for cindering the roads. And then you're like, oh yeah, the roads were dirt.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm getting at with this Model T. You said
Yeah.
10 million. Those are handmade cars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
crazy.
we don't, like my generation especially does not understand that. They're like, oh, okay, well that's cool. Yeah, 10 million. But they don't realize that that's literally like an assembly line, a person assembly line, Lacy McDonald,
Yes.
that made 10 million cars.
Yes.
That's insane.
And how much they changed from the first to the 10 millionth, whereas now, they'd put out 10 million cars and they'd all kind of look very similar. There might be some
Well, even the
changes, but not
brands,
that.
like you look at
Yeah.
a Chevy Blazer, then look at a Kia Rio, and you tell me the difference. You can't.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
a lot of them are built on the same chassis.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. So how do you learn how to stay alive on the roads in 1924?
One major thing was don't try to outrun a train.
No way.
No.
Stop.
I mean, there were trains all over the place.
But that was actually talked about.
Yeah.
Who was racing trains?
Well, I mean, the train was coming, and they had a lot of space.
I get it. I get
Racing,
it.
like-
Okay, like don't beat the.
Perpendicular, not parallel.
I thought they meant like they were on the tracks racing these
No.
things.
Well, I mean, maybe, but that was not mentioned in what I was reading.
So don't beat the trains.
Don't try to beat the train through the intersection.
Okay.
Because there were trains all over the place. Like, we don't understand now. Like, there was a train that went down what is now Piasaw. Right through the middle of town.
Yep.
So it's not like you're out on Humbert or whatever and it's further out. I mean, this was downtown Alton.
Right.
And I actually have a photo of a train in the middle of what is now Piasaw that I'll have in a future article.
What's the train that goes down Bon Air and Broad? Is that Piasaw too? Is that part of the Alton? Is that part of the train?
I'm not sure. Train history is one of the
wild.
most complicated.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because I put together with Don Huber and John Lindsay's help, we put together the historical display at the Alton train station. And not only is it very complicated, because they'll have, you'll get chartered in one state, and when the train goes across state lines, there's a completely new charter because it's a state-by-state thing.
Gotcha.
So not only is it this very, very complicated history, but also there are enough train buffs out there that it's like that know the details that you can't just have sort of like a general knowledge of
because you're getting
trains,
called out.
because you're going to get called out. Not in like a mean way, but like people know the history.
That is insane. That is like really cool insane. Yeah, like not an insult, but just wild.
And the train that would be, different names because different companies would buy it, or would go to different places. Like there were a whole bunch of different names for essentially the same lines.
Well, let me tie it into today, because there's kind of this outcry right now in Godfrey that they're thinking about legalizing ATVs on some of the roads. And, I'm a firm advocate of do not allow those things on the roads. I'm sorry. They don't need to belong there. Go somewhere else. But back in 1924, in the 1920s and the teens, was there an outcry of why are we letting cars go on our roadways when we got to walk and, get to our places, or was this welcomed?
I think they were working really hard to figure out how everybody could coexist.
Okay.
So a lot of the focus was on pedestrian safety, on sort of keeping track of everybody being safe, not being jerks. So one of the things that they were talking about in this meeting was this thing you were supposed to call out to drivers approaching in the opposite direction, which was, howdy, half the road is yours.
Stop.
Yeah. Yes. Howdy, half the road is yours. You just call that out to everybody that's coming towards you. And this was not Alton or St. Louis specific. Like, I found this phrase in newspaper articles all over the country. And I was looking for it because it said in the article, this was being spread from coast to coast, from the northern border to Florida, with the hope of shaming road hogs into being decent. And so I found Ohio, I found all over the place. And so this was legit, like, what you were supposed to do to get people to be decent. And there weren't lines, like, you were just kind of hoping y'all would fit. And then it was just a blank road.
You know what's funny, honestly, that you say that? My brain, because we're just in this day and age, just automatically assumed that everyone had painted lines and we just called it a day.
Right.
Like, you're right. I'm sorry. That's a very good point.
I think that's super important because you don't think about it. Like, seminary, seminary is mentioned a million times in these articles. And until there was an article that said they were trying to raise money to cinder seminary, I didn't even think about the fact that not only was it not, and it wasn't cindered. It was just dirt.
How'd they maintain roads like that back in the day? I mean, was it just constant traffic that kind of wore down like all the growth and all the wildlife, or was it actual maintenance?
Right, like trail maintenance that you have to do now in the woods. That's a really good question.
That's my once a month, so don't expect any more.
That was it. I don't know. And a lot of times they would get stuck in the mud and stuff. So I think everybody was pretty sure that, like, okay, cars are going to be a thing. We're not trying to outlaw them. They were really just working on regulation because another thing that I saw a bunch was people's headlights were not consistent. Like, now, you have the manufacturer puts
Don't even get me going on those LEDs. They're blind to me.
Yeah. But that was an issue they were having at the time too. Like, people had, and I don't know if they put them on themselves or if manufacturers were just putting on whatever they wanted, but that was a problem, glaring headlights. And so they actually had like laws about what your headlights could be like, and they were doing violation enforcement on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and now as we're getting back into the meat of the article, sorry, I went on like 85 tangents. We start talking about things like last week, and it's just we get there. Right.
People can read the article. We can do tangents here.
That's true. See, that's very true. But when we're talking about this, like, how many people attended the meeting? Do we know? Does it describe the crowd? Because I feel like a lot of people would be really scared about this, especially because I mean, the Midwest, everything funnels in. It all starts on the coast, and eventually it kind of. Everyone's nervous here because we aren't used to change.
Yeah. So what was your question? How many people were
was it a welcomed event?
It was a large crowd attended. And you'll appreciate this. It was a cold night for August, so it's appropriate that we're talking about it today. And some of the attendees were wearing their winter coats. So it was not just cold for August. It was cold.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. I almost wore a sweatshirt today, though. I mean, it was pretty chilly getting out of the house today. Yeah. It's funny. You never know how things repeat themselves. Now, when you were doing your research, were there some common road vocabulary? Like, instead of, hey, bow, get off my, my butt, was it, different?
Well, it was howdy, half the road is yours.
Half the road is yours.
One thing that I liked was that when they were doing this meeting, this isn't really it's specific to this meeting instead of anything else. But one of the things I liked is one of the speakers was talking about a person that lived in Alton who was one of the directors of the Alton Automobile Club. And he described Preston Owsley as a valuable citizen whose deeds are usually in the background, where the lunch is being prepared and where the lemonade made, but who is always there to do it. And I liked that because I feel like there's so many people now and in history who are like making things happen, who set up this safety meeting to try to keep Altonians safe, who, you know, are like lost to history, but like were there doing stuff behind the scenes, trying to help their community.
All I know is I'd vote for the guy that said that about me. That was very eloquently spoken. You know, it's like very nice. You know, that was like old English almost. Well, how nice. You know, but okay, getting back to the roads. Okay. What were the major roads in Alton?
The major roads. That was what you're asking. Sorry. I don't know.
Like seminary, was that one you said that was talked about?
Existed. I mean, Western Military Academy was over there, so they had to, you know, get to seminary. I would need to look at some maps because
that's cool. See, I just think this is why we talk. Is it's just there's so many points that could be had with just a simple safety meeting about automobiles.
Well, and a lot of the streets had different names then than they do now.
No, I got to ask you. Sorry, not to cut you off.
Fine.
Why are and I know I've talked to maybe was it former Mayor Walker. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Alton has a lot of the same street names because I've noticed this. Have you noticed? Is it because of the whole like the riff or what? How did that happen? Why are there a couple of different
like Main Street? Yeah. Okay, so Alton was not Alton originally. It was Upper Alton, and you know we had North Alton.
But
like
they were
a
different
bunch of
towns.
different. Upper Alton and Alton were like separate.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And I don't remember exactly when they came together, but. Yeah. So when people say Upper Alton, it's not just a designation of a place. It's like it used to be a town of its own.
That is so cool. See, that's why I wonder, because there's a couple of Eastons, there's you know, a couple of George Streets, I think, but just really fascinating. You know, so getting back to was it fun writing this one? Because we've been talking now for 25 minutes, and I know this has been a fun one.
This was fun. I mean, some of them are more serious. Like last week's was more serious. This one is more fun.
We did a good job, though.
We did do a good job. Yeah, I felt proud of that. But yeah, like this kind of thing. For example, like I talked last week about how I wanted to use photographs that were very specific to Temple, Israel. The photographs that I used in this are from the Library of Congress, just to kind of show what automobiles were like at that time. So I feel like I can get away a little bit with doing something that's more general and not, it was taken in Alton in 1924 and this is exactly what it was like. So you get a sense of what the cars are. But yeah, it was fun because I learned a lot about things just generally in Alton. And plus that phrase was just, I mean, can you imagine trying to yell that at somebody now?
I swear someone would punch me. I would, seriously, if I said that on the road right now, I'd get hit with a restraining order tomorrow. I swear they'd say I was a stalker or something. You know, we aren't here for friendliness in this generation like that. Howdy, half the road's yours, pal. Lawsuit.
Well, and I wonder too, like how much of it was nice and how much of it was like a little bit passive aggressive. I wish that I could know in what spirit a lot of things were.
Well, you know what? So if I ever gesture to you on the road, just know that's what I mean is howdy, pal. Half the road's yours.
Pal.
If I give you a gesture, you know. What are you writing about? What are you writing about next?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so next week I thought I had this great article. And there was a soda fountain and a safe got blown in it and they stole all this money. And the crazy part was that the owner was upstairs, like he lived upstairs, and it was right across the street from the temporary police department. And nobody could figure out how it got, you know, it exploded the safe in the middle of the night and no one noticed. And so I was writing. And then I got to the article the next day because I always try to figure out what happened. And it turned out that it was staged and nobody. Yeah. Oh, man. So what I'm really writing about is in Jerseyville, in Jersey County, there was a couple who was married. They'd been married about a year, and their fathers had traded horses. And then after 3 months, the husband's father wanted to trade back because that horse was bulky, which means it would just stop when it wasn't supposed to, and it was like walking a buggy or something. I don't know what they used it for. and the wife's father refused to trade back because it had been like injured or something. So anyway, it turned into this whole thing, and the wife left the home and went back to her parents' home, and they ended up completely separating forever.
For a horse?
For a horse deal gone bad. And I couldn't figure out, we can talk about this next week, but I couldn't figure out whatever happened to the horse deal. I mean, it was in like the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in addition to being in the Alton Telegraph. And then it was like nothing ever came of it, but they married other people. So it didn't turn out well.
And you thought your relationship ended over something dumb, you know?
Yeah.
1033, Lacy McDonald. I love chat. This was a fast one today.
Yeah,
Good article.
Thanks.
Good article. You had to save me because, I'm still service unavailable.
Oh, no.
We'll take a quick pause, but Coach Greg Nasello outside the studio. We're going to be talking to Dad right after this, seeing how the season's looking right here on RiverBender.com, Roku TV.